Welcome everybody. This is my friend Mel. He flew in from California for class. So
That's great.
you guys
I'm
all
glad to see that you have such reach.
Oh, he's got reach.
Well, he's just passionate enough about my inability to teach that he flew here so that he can storm out. His focus is just to throw and see.
And the window's open to let things out, right?
But Mel studies with Uncle, and we actually
That's
get
what
together out in California a couple of times a year. So, but he was in town, so he'll stay for class. And Mel's probably been in the martial arts for like 50 years or some crazy.
Between boxing and exactly 50 years.
Yeah, 50.
Between boxing
forever.
and 46 years of
Yeah,
on top, 50 years.
Yeah, there's thousands of people around that like he's the focus of everything they do. So it's nice.
Not really.
It's nice of you to join in.
Yeah,
And
I need more internal, that's for sure. I really do.
that's maybe what we'll work on tonight. Yeah, that's good. Ed will be excited to see you. He'll be here for the next class, Ed. So
Oh, it's
yeah.
showing up?
Yeah, he should. He usually does so.
Yeah,
Yeah, good. So welcome. How did our practice go this week?
Such silence. I think it went well. My practice went well.
I know he's not asking me, so.
I missed last week's class, but I didn't see it very good.
Oh, no, I forgot. I forgot to shut
I
up.
did some of the other meditations and I found myself not doing the full meditations, but taking pieces from things and kind of like like the heart, just gently laying your hand on your heart, and I find myself doing that different times.
Yeah.
It does have a common quality to it.
Do you do it when you say I find myself doing it at different times? Do you mean while you're meditating, or you find it like you just realize and then it comes?
Not necessarily sitting down for meditation, but even driving or taking a shower or whatever
Yeah,
else
okay.
is happening in my day, check out,
That's
whatever's needed, you take those pieces of
It's a really interesting thing, and there's a practice of it too, but it's an interesting place to get where your mind will begin to meditate and then invite your body along, or your body will begin to meditate and then invite your body, invite your mind. So like your body, it just starts to find something, maybe we'll say meditative, like a meditative state, shape, quality, position, mudra, something like that. And then your mind, it's like, hey, you know what? That's preferable to where I was. Maybe I'll join you. So it's kind of a nice place, to get to. And a lot of times it'll happen in something that's sort of ritual, like a shower or driving or something where you haven't given your body a task, and it kind of knows what to expect. You're just showering, it kind of goes through the same process all the time, and then and come back to that. And then if you can tune into it, your mind might say, yeah, let me join you there. So it's a nice thing where sort of like part of yourself can invite the rest of you into a meditative space. That can definitely happen.
He was.
You were going to say you first?
I was.
Yeah, okay.
No,
Please.
I'm trying to raise a man here. I'm trying to raise the boy. Good.
I noticed myself sort of dropping into a little bit of meditation during other things. Like I find that I do it well when I'm by the beach or swimming. So when swimming with kids, and it was splashing and games and stuff, and then I would take a few strokes, do a lap or two on my own, and just stay under the water for a while. And
Where you can't hear them, which is
can't
good.
can't see anything.
You just know that they're
Yeah.
safe and over there.
One with the dolphin, she's going, yep, you're up there.
And so I just find that that's calming, being underwater, like taking a shower is calming too. And so you can kind of settle. And then I went to a funeral today, and it's Catholic church, and I was raised Catholic, but I don't participate in that, so I just kind of sat and I just let some Reiki come in. I tried to do it with sort of my eyes unfocused and just kind of relaxed into the feeling and send out some positive energy.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a good thing to be able to do.
I think it was 2 days ago when it was really windy.
Yep.
Really, really windy. I couldn't go to sleep. It was like midnight-ish, and I heard my window was closed. We had the AC running, and I heard that it was really windy outside. And I was like, I kind of want to go outside. So I just got out of bed and I just sat out on my patio, on my couch out there, and I just kind of sat there and just listened to the trees. Because I remember last class I was at, I forgot who it was. Someone was like, yeah, I just like sitting outside and listening to the trees. Yeah, I think it was you, and you're like, okay, cool, class is over, you're good.
Yeah.
And I thought of that, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, it was nice. It's easier to meditate listening to that.
That's pretty good. That's good. It's good that you kind of give yourself that permission to, I'm going to get out and do that. Yeah, that's nice. So I just want to reiterate something that I was saying last week is that, we're tending to do a different meditation every week or aspect of meditation. And in no way is it about you need to have all of these or remember them all or work on them all or get better. The idea is, you might have settled into what we did on week 3 and then the things she said in week 6 that helped you, and then you kind of have your meditation and you bounce between week 7 and week 6 and you like those two things. That when the situation's right, you do week 1, and that's fine. It isn't supposed to feel like a burden, like now we've done all of these. And that's particularly important if you're seeing the daily ones I'm posting, which are all different. So that could probably quickly add up to, I don't know how many there are now, but there's a few dozen, or I guess. So that might end up feeling, oh geez, I can't do all these or practice these. But if you listen through them all, there might be a little facet of many of them that works for you, or just doing it the once and never seeing it again, or maybe one of them is just that's for you. So I just want to make sure that we're all clear on that. They should all be practiced with this contextualization. So the practice is it step 4 that says practice, right? Is it 4? So we should be getting practice at this sheet, right? And then the practice, which might vary, it might be, your practice might be different than what we're going over this week, but it's still, that's what happens in step 4. So whatever your practices are, you're getting better at this, you're getting more and more clear. You don't have to read it anymore, it's just, you're clear on it, it's rehearsed, you're familiar with those things mean. But I don't want to mention that every time, because then it's just kind of boring, especially if I'm posting a video. I don't want to read through that and say it every time either. I just, so I thought I'd make that clear additionally. Okay. Any questions?
I missed my road home. We sold it, I missed it. It was on a creek,
Yeah.
dead end road, 84 acres that he couldn't even get to, our neighbor, and 1,080 acres of BLM land right behind us. That was my house. My wife goes, oh, we need to move, it's too much work. Well, guess what? It really wasn't. Because I could do what he did and go out there just before a storm. And just all the wind and just listen to the creek, year-round creek.
Sure.
And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
A couple trees fell while I was outside listening to those.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in my back forest right there.
Yeah, but you knew they weren't going to fall on you. So.
Oh, I never fall off and stuff. Really cool. It's rare to see or hear a tree fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
So, to me, one of the important things with that kind of thing is that, you have 1,080 acres, and you have 8 acres, and you have.
I had 5.5 and no one, if you were coming to my house, it was a destination.
But if you're developing a practice with that, right, that anytime you want, you can go out and
Okay.
hear the creek and the trees. My question would be, are you developing a practice? Or are you getting more and more comfortable with a specific crutch? In other words, if we take all that away, can you do any meditation? Or was it entirely dependent on those acres and those trees?
Oh, that's true.
And so then the question is, when you have that, or let's say you're at the beach or swimming, and maybe for some period of time you do need the beach or swimming to get something. I wouldn't say that a practice is really fruited until we can take the beach and the swimming away.
No, that's true.
And then you still have a practice. It'll probably look a
I
little
can do it
different.
in the midst of the chaos.
Right, yeah. But of course, this is why people learn to meditate. You cut an hour out of your week and dedicate it to this, and you buy the right incense, and you invest in a meditation pillow, and you go on a retreat, and you read a book. Like, those are all to help you, similar with the creek. That would probably help a lot of people meditate to have that.
Yeah.
But if it all burns down or gets sold or whatever happens, you have to move, or there's a sickness or whatever, then it's like, did you learn something from that doesn't require that to do it? Same for you. There'll come a time when you can't, that back porch is rotted, or the couch isn't there, or somebody builds something and there's no forest, or you just don't have the time to go out and look, whatever it is. It's like, if that can help you fruit something that doesn't require those items, those objects, or maybe even that time and space, then now you have what I call practice.
Very good.
But we have to be gentle with ourselves to develop it or find it or believe in it. It does help to have, the picture of the saint and the nice robe and the mountaintop ashram that you visit and the fancy book. Those help you kind of find it and believe in it and settle into that practice, but it's not for the purpose of getting good with those things. Like, I really like this particular pillow setup, but I know I could just take them away and I'm fine. That I don't need them to do my meditations. And so, at what point do you take that quiz and say to yourself, could I do this without the tingsha, or without my water, or whatever it might be?
Funny, it made me think of all of the addicts and smokers. I could stop anytime. Not now, but anytime. I could.
Just let me know when, and I can plan it, but I just like.
What were you going to add?
I think that's what I'm looking for, actually, because you leave your meditation and then there's like a traffic snarl, or you're going home to a mess at the house, or you're late for something, and then it's a pocket, but then you leave the pocket,
Yes.
and how is it affecting the rest of your life? Is it-
Right. And there are people that find their addiction in the pocket.
Right.
Like, and their addiction is that they go to Omega every third week to have and it's like, well, that's not really helping. You have this addiction to what, to the outside, looks super healthy, and organic and wise and all that kind of stuff. And so that's another sort of thing to pay attention to. But the development of these practices, we tend to try and do in a relatively perfected set situation. You have the safe space, you have friends, and you have a guiding teacher, and the book that you really like, and whatever, that your mala or something like that. But these don't actually have anything to do with the meditation. They do have something to do with helping you develop it. And sometimes to develop it means helping you have confidence that it's a good thing to do or a healthy place to be. That's how it gets developed, But that isn't something to really address in the early goings. You don't need to tell that to the person when they first come to the ashram. Like, none of this is important. You should be able to do it when your kids are screaming. That might be true, but that doesn't help them right now. That's something once you kind of feel you have something flowered. And then you start to see, is it really fruited? Is it going to produce new things, or is it just going to wilt when it's, you know, taken, the accoutrement are taken from it? You know?
I've been discovering the flip side of that in moving here is like, okay, all that stuff was left behind, and I was concentrating so much on just being whatever I had inside of me and wherever it was and stuff. And just the last month or so, it's like the trees are telling me, come on, there's things here. You can use some of these outside crutches now.
Come on.
Yeah, come out
Nice.
and
Yeah.
the rain. I went for a walk in the rain the other day, and it's like, oh, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can see both sides now. Nice
Okay.
balance.
So, I was thinking about doing a little bit outside, but we're all settled. If you'd like to stay, we can stay where we are. We have opinions.
Yeah, I'm probably getting eaten by mosquitoes.
Okay, so we're inside. Okay, so,
We take too much time when we move.
so, yeah, that's a fair point, yeah. So, the meditation is, I wonder if I should do this. Good. You know, sort of the equivalent of this work that I did. Because when I'm scrolling through, it's like, where did we start? Like, you know, and maybe
I see.
I usually just go until Jenny looks like she's asleep. I'm like, oh, we must have this.
Because, yeah, I'm like, meditate with your eyes open, that's weird.
So, the meditation is to, and this may happen 6,000 times for one of you while we meditate, and it may happen 3 times during the session for somebody else. And 3 isn't better, 6,000 is not better, it's just different numbers. But the practice is to, with your mind, lead yourself back to the present moment without crutches. So some of the crutches are sharply breathing, deeply breathing, touching the self, pinching the self, something like that. It's just have the mind lead the self back to the present moment. Right? Of course, in order to do that, you have to notice that you've left it. But it'll be story time, so there'll be some excuses to leave the moment. So when you've noticed it, that you're not present, you're having the mind call the rest of the parts of the self back to the present moment. The present moment, and this is going to be key, the present moment is not a type of moment. The way to find the present moment is not to say, well, it ought to be like the other present moments. So we're not looking for a type of moment, right? I'm not taking my mind and leading the lost parts of myself back to a category. I'm leading them back to this unique, singular moment. Right? With no other help than the mind. And sometimes to bring yourself back, you'll have a little sort of muscular movement, or a little rhythmic movement, or a little change in the breath. But I just want to have my brain say, okay, I've left. Part of me is scattered, you know. One thing I want to add is that if you're let's say you're a high school teacher, and you have all the kids out on a recess or something, I'm sure every couple minutes you have to make sure they're all where they're supposed to be. And then maybe a couple times during the class you count them. And then like if you see one walk in the parking lot and you start yelling and threatening whatever you threaten them with, and then you make them feel bad when they come back. And so, but the way to do this with the scattered parts of the self are to treat it more like nursery school. Right? So if some of the self has kind of walked through the gate, or kind of not quite in the playground area, you have to help it find the way back. Hey, we're over here, or go collect it, or invite it, or say, oh, everything's fine, just we want you back here. When you go to pick up that nursery school, kindergarten kind of kid, part of your brain is saying, oh my God, they can get killed crossing the street, or they're not supposed to do that, you know better. But none of that comes out because it's a kid. It's like a kitty kid. So it's just love. Oh, sweetheart, it's so silly of you to almost walk in front of that delivery van and then you bring them back in to the playground. With a high schooler, you idiot, I'm gonna suspend you. Like you treat them differently, right? In theory, also with love. But with the toddler that sort of got lost, like your voice is different, your tone is different. You're thinking, oh, thank God I have her or him and they're safe. But all you say to them, oh, aren't you silly? You're such a cutie. Come on, why don't you try staying with us this time? So that's the attitude of finding the scatterlings of the self is the attitude that you have with like toddlers, not preteens or high school or something like that. Does that kind of make sense? So it's helpful to have a sense of what the lifeguard is like, who's going to be noticing that parts of the self are missing, and then inviting them back. And sometimes the inviting them back is kind of actually sort of collecting them. Sometimes, hey, we're over here, just keep coming to my voice. Does that make sense? We don't have to name the parts of the self that have left. Okay? Everybody clear?
But
Mm-hmm.
we're not supposed to physically move. So is like your foot falling asleep, is that part of not being in the present moment?
No, that could be the present moment. That could be the present moment, yeah.
Okay, because then I have to wiggle it to wake it up, and then that's moving.
Right, so that's kind of like a physical, if you think the falling asleep is not being present, wiggling it is doing a physical thing.
Yes.
So that's not who we hired for the kindergarten, it's just your mind. So your mind would have to go bring your foot back.
Okay.
But I'm not saying falling asleep is necessarily not being present, it might be, it might not be.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because it's story time, and we don't have a nursery school in the middle of a four-way highway interchange, you know, like, so it's possible that you can notice that you've left and just let it be for a little bit before you call it back. You know, it doesn't have to be an urgent emergency. So I'll be reading a little bit of poetry, and if it feels like I know I'm gone, but I'm gonna join this for a moment, it's okay. And then find the reason to come back. So it isn't, you're not scolding yourself. And if the poem's really kicking it for you, you can just, I know I'm off the premises, but I'll have a moment to help myself back, but I'm gonna kind of